Hello, everybody. I'm RJ Sheedy, and welcome to The Beat, a news and informative talk program brought to you by the Center for Community Media here at Worcester State University. We have some great programs lined up for your enjoyment this semester. Today on the program, we're talking about the Women's March on Washington and its sister marches in Worcester. In just a bit, Worcester State University student Ashley Dziejma will be here talking about her experience marching in D.C. But for now, we are joined by Gordon and Gwen Davis, the organizers for the Women's Sister March on Worcester. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today here.
Thank you for having us.
I'm super excited to talk to you guys. So let's start with the Women's March in general. A lot of people still don't really know what this was about. What exactly was this?
Well, it was about women asserting their rights, that you're not going to turn back the clocks on what we've fought for over the years, and that we stand for all our sisters and brothers too, across all borders and countries, and we're here to just stand in unity, not only with the women in the United States, but women around the world that were marching that day, and it was very affirming to be outside on the streets, and also we in particular in Worcester wanted to call attention to the some of the attacks that are racist and obviously sexist on our brothers and sisters in the country, on immigrants and things like that.
I think that women, but also everyone in the country, were appalled at Trump's misogyny, at the attempts to end birth control, which helps everybody. The birth control actually helps everybody. So it was all of our interest to make sure that these rights were not taken away from women and from men too. But like Gwen was saying, we in Worcester also brought up the idea of fighting against racist immigrant policy. So that was another main issue that we had raised here in Worcester. But there were so many issues, so many things that President Trump has done.
Yeah, so this march really became more than just about women's rights. When you guys were first organizing this sister march, what was the main message you guys wanted to get out there?
You want me to try?
Well, really, that with Trump's presidency, he's really just giving the green light for all these attacks on progressive causes, women's rights, women's reproductive health, not just women, but our class brothers and sisters and students, workers and students in the street. We're all being squeezed right now, and people are very much afraid. So we wanted to remind people that there's unity, and all of us continuing to come out into the street, because that's where our real power lies. I think all across the country we're seeing that numbers don't lie. They're not alternative facts, so to speak. When workers hit the streets, they're out there, and they're telling you that this is what democracy looks like. And we're not going to stop. You can't hold us back. We're unstoppable, and we will continue to put forward an agenda that benefits women and children and families, and men, and which will help men as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in the struggle, no, because I was going to say that everything that you're talking about, we're literally seeing happening right now. Our Secretary of State incoming is a former ExxonMobil CEO. Our incoming Department of Education Secretary doesn't believe in public school. That's really, really saddening when you're being put at a position in the federal government.
Absolutely.
Now, with equal rights, the fight for you guys is equal rights. You guys have been a part of this fight for a really long time. Gordon, you go back 50 years, even going back to the civil rights protest. Don't you think it's just a little maddening that here you guys are 50 years later, still having to stand up and fight for what you guys believe in, still fight for your rights? Isn't that just crazy for you guys to think about?
It's a long struggle. We have an outlook that it's a long, protracted struggle, so we get demoralized along the way, but I just feel like people just woke up out of the matrix of capitalism. They're woke now, so let's get going.
I'd like to say that I thought that by now we would be living in a more progressive world. When I was a college student and a high school student also, I was doing this to change the world. I thought it would be changed by now. However, I guess what I found out is the people who wanted to keep the world the same or worse, they were also trying. They were also active. So there's a struggle that's going on. And I guess it won't end to something significant, more significant happens.
And I really, really want to mention this. This march was huge. There were marches all across the globe, all across the country. I even read a report that there were marches in Antarctica.
Yes.
Were you guys pleasantly surprised that this became such a global movement that it wasn't just so concentrated in the U.S.?
I wasn't surprised, but I was very happy. I was just very happy to see that so many people have been affected, not just by the policies of our country, and it's just global. It's gone global. People are not going to accept borders. They want to be friends. They want to share resources with their brothers and sisters around the world. We want to try to stem climate warming and not defy that it doesn't exist. And so I just think people they're not going backwards. They're not going backwards.
Okay, so Donald Trump tweeted out a few days ago, and I don't have the exact text with me, but basically, if Chicago doesn't do something about the horrific crimes and whatever, he's going to send in the feds.
Exactly.
What is that about?
Yeah, that was really troublesome for me because I felt the word carnage was pretty explosive, and he proposes adding stop and frisk, which we know was a failure in New York. And I felt like that was going to lead to martial law at some point. And also with the voting suppression, these are attacks that are mainly on black and brown bodies, and I just felt he was just exasperating the racist situation there and things like that.
So the protests in Washington,
Yes.
we all watched them. They
Absolutely.
looked great, they looked peaceful, yet somehow citizens and members of the press were arrested.
Yes, that was very troubling, and it wasn't widely reported in the media, but there was about over 200 or about 230 demonstrators, along with the press, had charges filed against them, felony riot charges filed against them. And I think we should keep that in mind because they're trying to outlaw protests in general. And this is our way that we show that we have a democratic society, is when we disagree, we can take to the streets peacefully with our signs and things and let the powers that be know that we don't believe in what they're doing.
A lot of feelings get conjured up, at least for me, when I see cops go head-to-head with protesters. What are your thoughts when you watch that sort of stuff happen over and over and over again?
I just hope that they'll understand that we have a right to protest in the streets. And they were pepper spraying children and mothers who were just trying to turn away. They were going up and just, as they had their backs, as they're trying to exit the demonstration, they went right up and just sprayed them right in their faces. And that's just intolerable for me. So.
A lot of people, especially people who supported Donald Trump, tells progressives and liberals and Hillary Clinton voters to give him a chance. What is you guys' answer to that statement?
Well, I will say.
Does he deserve a chance after his first week?
I will say we have a Klansman president in the White House who incites racism and misleads white workers into voting for him against their class interests. And I would say that I'm not giving someone like that a chance. The onus is on him to prove to the world's workers and students that he can be a president for all of us. And if he can't do that, and he's already said that he's against gay people, he's against black people, he's against immigrants, he hates Muslims. He wants this wall with Mexico. He's banning abortions. He's already said what he stands for. So he's already proven. So no, we're fighting back. This is our time to fight back, take the streets, and to mobilize. And that's where we stand.
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you so much for joining me.
And
Thank you.
can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I really believe that we need a mass multiracial movement of workers and students and soldiers to shut the system down if it goes fast forward enacting all of these fascist policies. we have to have this kind of unity.
Well, after this show, I think you guys are going to have a lot of friends at Worcester State.
I don't know.
Thank you so
for
much.
being
You've been
here,
so
guys.
kind to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll be
you.
right back with Worcester State student Ashley Dziejma. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back to The Beat. If you're watching and you like what you see, please give the Center for Community Media a like on Facebook at facebook.com/WSU Media and follow us on Twitter at MediaWSU. Joining us now is Ashley Dziejma, a Worcester State student who marched in D.C. Ashley, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. So why did you go to the D.C. March? What were you marching for?
Well, I mean, probably a bunch of reasons, and I definitely thought they could use another body. It's me.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So just his attack on, and his whole campaign, and his attack on women and their rights and their bodily autonomy, and his just denouncing climate change as an actual thing that's happening is just really alarming.
So you're really scared about like the actions he's taken as president, the moves he's making with his cabinet picks not being pro public education, with the cabinet picks wanting to like literally like demolish the EPA. You're just upset with that sort of stuff.
Really mad.
And who did you go with? Did you go with school? How did this happen?
Yeah, so I went with some friends, another friend from Pride, and two other friends who I met through a mutual friend. Yeah, we rode the bus down. There's a bus with other Worcester State students, other people from Worcester. Took the bus down and went for the day.
Was it just Worcester State students on the bus?
No, I don't think so. It was Worcester and other organizations, and there were some faculty and stuff like that.
So what kind of people were you meeting when you were marching there? Who were you marching alongside, really?
So on the bus driver actually like made the observation. He was like, "Wow, it's mostly women," and we were like, "Yeah, it's a women's march. Everyone should care about women's rights, but I guess it ends up being women who do the groundwork. Not only women, but mostly women." And but yeah, it was a mix. Mostly women. A lot of I've seen like later on critiques of mostly white women, things like that. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of kids there, which I was surprised. I was like,
There was a lot of kids, really?
not like it wasn't like mostly kids, but there were definitely.
There were more kids your age than you were expected to like have off and just be free to go to DC?
Yeah, I expected to be
Because
mostly
yeah,
college
because I was
students.
really expecting more to be like, you know, an older crowd, people who've done there and been there before. But there was a lot, at least I think, a lot of student involvement with this in particular. And I think the current events unfolding really made that a huge issue.
Yeah, there were. I mean, like by like kids, I mean like children. Like people brought their children.
Children?
Yeah,
That's
children.
incredible.
Yeah, I would be scared, but I don't think it was expected to be like less than half the size that it actually was. So I think people were kind of caught off guard with
Oh,
the
no,
size.
absolutely. I don't think anybody expected this to be as big as they thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I kind of want to give our current president credit for making this so big, because without his actions and without his dialogue that he's been created, I don't think this march would have been as big as it was without him in that office.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, because
Like,
he's definitely a lot more overt in his actions, and he doesn't really like beat around the bush. He's like, yeah, we're gonna attack the EPA, and this is how we're gonna do it, instead of like slowly defunding them.
Yeah. No, he's just on point. No, we're going to do this. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And you know, you were out there marching for a long time. How long were you actually outside for? in
So
DC?
the bus got there at 8 in the morning. We left at 11 at night here, got there 8 in the morning, and then we got back on the bus for 6 that night. So
So you were there
8
for
to 6.
so almost the whole day.
Yeah.
What moment of that march really stuck out in your mind? Was there any interaction you had with people there that were really like, wow, I'm going to remember this?
I mean, so there's so many people. The bathrooms were like totally blocked off. I remember like hiding a woman so she could pee in a cup. That was definitely something that I'll remember. But like also, there was a feeling of sort of like isolation because our phones, the phone system,
I
don't really
heard
know,
the phones weren't working.
weren't
yeah.
working. Yeah, so I like couldn't call my mom, couldn't text her. Anyone who was like waiting for news from me, like make sure I was like okay, I guess. Couldn't do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of news coming out of the march saying that like families were being separated and they couldn't locate people because cell service was just awful because everyone was just there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we're filming this on January 30th. We're about a week and a half or so into our new president's term. A lot of people, especially his supporters and people who voted for him, tell people who voted for Hillary Clinton or people who just aren't for Trump, give him a chance. Do you think there's any chance be given to him, and do you want him to succeed as your president?
No, because I don't want to support the normalization of his policies. because he supports like banning immigration and things like that. We can't normalize that. That is totally not okay, and I don't think we want the country to fail, but I think he's kind of doing that already. So
No, he is not a normal person to be in
No,
this office.
no.
Everything that he's doing is just not normal and unprecedented for his statute.
So I mean, so I don't want, you know, citizens and like regular people to be hurt, but I also don't want him to succeed because his goals wouldn't be seen as a success to me.
If he
that
was
makes sense.
taking, say, other actions, say he said, oh, I'm not going to defund Planned Parenthood, I'm going to welcome immigrants and stuff like that, would you be saying, yeah, I want him to succeed? You just not want his policies as it is right now to succeed? Because that's what kind of seems like. It's such a catch-22.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, coming from a slightly more like radical sort of political situation, I don't think that necessarily I know if I want a president to continue, because I think we need to radically change our entire structure, like change the structure of our economy, change the structure of our government to not be capitalism, personally.
And how did Worcester State, because I know people are watching this right now, and they're watching this going, wow, I need to get involved. How can people get involved with these kind of issues here at Worcester State?
Talk to people, see like what issues are important to you. I know that there's already a pretty active Worcester Socialist Alternative group in Worcester, and they're pretty involved with actions. They had an anti-Trump rally after the popular vote a couple of days ago as well. So they're really active. They're getting pretty large. They have literature, they have a website, they're a national organization, but they have a local branch. So I've been involved with them. Keep reading, read everything you can. Ask your professors for good recommendations, like Angela Davis, she was at the march. There's people with experience who have words and experiences who can maybe help us through this and help us change what needs to be changed and change what brought Donald Trump to this place to begin with.
And the really important thing is that people, as scary as it is to all watch it unfold, people cannot check out right now and just be like,
Oh, no.
this is fine. No, you can't check out right now. That's a bad
No,
thing to do.
definitely not. I think Andrea Gibson, she's like a spoken word poet, and she made a post on Facebook last night that was like, we can take turns being full of despair, and like we can take turns with not being able to cope, but we can't just completely check out of the situation.
So what's next? You guys had, the Women's March happened. What's next in your mind for this movement?
I don't know, and that's kind of the part that concerns me, because I think there was so much momentum going towards the Women's March, and then where do we go from here? I think everyone has sort of a different opinion of where we need to go from here, so I don't really know, but I hope it's more actions. We've been seeing a lot of like protests on the daily, which makes me happy.
And let's talk about the protests for a little bit,
Yeah.
because I love watching the protests happen, because when I see the people angry on the street, it validates my feelings on the situation.
Yeah, that's what democracy looks like.
Absolutely. What do you think of when you watch stuff on TV like protests? What feelings happen in your head when you see like cops and protesters clash like we've seen happen over and over again?
I mean, I'm just glad that people are taking a stand. I'm glad that people are being involved in their country and in their democracy, and I think that when people see people in the streets, it inclines them to also be active in such a way.
While you were protesting, did you at all have an interaction with someone who just was not okay with what you were doing, with what you were thinking about? Because a lot of people think you just shut up and let the president do his thing. I say no.
Yeah, not at the Women's March. The Women's March had so many people that I think if anyone like disagreed with it, they were out of the city. I didn't really see anyone who was disagreeing with that.
Okay, because our last guest who was here, she ran the Worcester March. She said that she did meet a few people who were a little confrontational against what they were there for.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know that at the Worcester Socialist Alternative sort of rally after the popular vote with Trump, that there were like pro-Trump people, and they kind of were like off to the side and just like debating with people back and forth. I wasn't like super involved. I kind of kept an eye on them because I was curious as to what was happening, but I didn't see that in DC, but I would not be surprised at all if I saw it in Worcester.
So we're almost out of time. Is there any final message you want to give to our viewers at home or at school?
Yeah, it would probably be to get involved. Pete Seeger has a quote, "Participation, that's what's gonna save us all." So I think, yeah, you know, get educated, read a lot, care for the people in your life, because that's who will support you, and be involved.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining
good
us
to see
today.
you.
It was great talking to you as always. And thank you for joining us today on The Beat. As always, all previous episodes of The Beat are available to watch on YouTube at any time. Hosting for The Beat, I'm RJ Sheedy. So long, everybody.